In this video, I'm going to show you how to make these slide and pop cards. They're super fun. They slide and then it pops up and you get to see a hidden message. And then also the hot air balloons pop up on this one. And the sailboats and lighthouse pop up on this one. So I'm going to show you both of these cards. They're a little bit different. I'm going to start with this card. It uses the Above the Clouds stamp set that comes in a bundle with the hot air balloon punch. We're going to be using both of those. But before I start, I wanted to show you a little template that I created. I always create a template first to help me. So this is 5 1/4 by 4. And there's a 5/8 gap on the top and the bottom and a 1/2 inch gap on the sides. So I've scored on 3 sides with those dimensions, and then I've cut on those sides with those dimensions, and then I've scored at 1 inch only in the middle piece and 2 5/8 inch, and then again 5/8 inch from the top. Then for the mechanics of this piece, you're going to use another piece of cardstock, and this piece of cardstock is 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. So I'm gonna write that down too. 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. And you're going to use a strong adhesive, like a red liner tape is what I like to use, across the bottom here. And that's going to create the slide piece. So I will show you all of that on this card. So let me get started here. Grab my materials. So I've got a Whisper White cardstock base. I've got my slider piece already cut and scored, so I'm just gonna fold on the score lines. And I've got my slider piece right here that I'm going to attach. So I'm going to get that ready, but before I do that, I'm going to stamp everything. So the first thing that I'm going to stamp is the inside piece right here. So I'm going to use Grapefruit Grove and Gorgeous Grape. So let's start with the Gorgeous Grape. So to measure this, I'm going to go ahead and place this on my piece of cardstock here and open this up. And then I can easily get my sentiment in the right place. So we've got "You're off to great places." And then on the top of this cider piece right here, we have the sentiment, "Life is a beautiful ride." So we'll stamp that right there. So you can see it right here. Life is a beautiful ride. Now we will stamp, while I still have the Gorgeous Grape, I'm going to stamp my balloon. So I'm going to stamp off on my side piece of paper right there. And then I will stamp the outline full strength. And this is great because these are photopolymer clear stamps, so you can line them up easily. And next we're gonna do this fun, cute little banner. And then we're gonna fill in the banner, but I'm gonna stamp off again. Okay, so we've got one balloon done. I'm going to clean this off so we can do our other balloon. And this time we're going to use Grapefruit Grove. So I'm going to make sure this is dry and stamp off. And then I will stamp this other outline. on here as well. Fun. Okay, so now we still need the Grapefruit Grove because we're going to do these little hot air balloons down here. So I'm going to stamp off and I'll place that down there. And then we'll do the outline in Grapefruit Grove as well. Okay, so now we're going to punch these hot air balloons out with the hot air balloon punch. I purposely spaced these far apart because you can see on the punch, when I go to punch, there's going to be a little basket and a banner that are punched out beside it. So I don't want to stamp my hot air balloons too close. Otherwise, I will end up punching a basket out of one of them, which I don't want to do. So I've got my 2 hot air balloons, and then these pieces I don't need. Now we'll do the clouds in the balmy blue, and we'll do them on this whole piece of balmy blue, as well as this Life is a Beautiful Ride. So I'm going to start up here. So we'll pull this open. It looks like I've stamped it a couple times. Whoop. So do some clouds there, and then there. So that's that. Now we're going to stamp all over this. Lots of clouds everywhere. And I'm trying to layer it differently, stamp differently each time so it doesn't look like a contrived pattern, but so that the clouds look a bit random. Okay, we've used a lot of stamps. So I've got everything stamped, so now I can assemble. So like I said, you're going to use a red liner tape that's very strong across the bottom of this piece on the back right here. So you're just going to adhere this to the bottom of the piece right here. And then you'll trim that off. And then this piece is going to be placed right over it. And you're gonna wanna center this piece between the 2 edges. So make sure it's centered. Carefully place it down. You're going to want a little bit of an edge so we can put the foam strips on these edges on the sides. Okay, so we've got this right here. So now, before I go any further, I'm going to use the 1-inch circle punch to punch almost a half circle out of the top. And that's going to allow me to see that there's a place for my thumb to pull. So I'm going to use a handheld punch and some ribbon. And this is going to help me pull the card as well. This is the Grapefruit Grove Grosgrain ribbon. I think it's great. It's perfect for cards like this. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot in the top. And that's what I can use to pull on the card. I'm just going to trim that up a little bit. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble the rest of the card. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to use the foam adhesive strips. Those are the best to use for this card. So I'm going to pull out some of those, and I'm just going to take a long strip, and I'm going to place it along this edge right here, all the way along the edge, and then trim that off, and then across the bottom. We just have a little bit left here, and then we'll get another strip. run this along the edge of the other side here. And this is going to create our little or large channel for the slider part to slide in. All right, so once you have that, you can remove the backing. From all three sides. And then you're going to carefully place this with a little bit of an edge showing on all four sides. Pretty good. And then when you pull, the slider part slides up. Pretty cool. And so now we're gonna add these little hot air balloons and the little baskets. So a trick that I do for the baskets is I like to stamp them separately. So I'm gonna stamp in soft suede. I have the basket. And then the filler for the basket I'm gonna stamp off. Whoop. Okay, so now we've got that done. Now I can come back to my hot air balloon punch and I can stick this in this way to punch out the tiny little baskets, and they're tiny, so be careful because they're easily lost. So stick that right in there, punch out that little basket. So that's just a little tip when using this hot air balloon punch. So now I like to use glue dots to adhere the little baskets to the balloons. So I'm gonna put these before they go missing on the glue dots. And I'll place them right on here. And now we can use some dimensionals. Oops, wrong. You want to place it on the bottom portion of the hot air balloon, not the top. Slowly peel that back. Just kidding. And then on the bottom here. So then we've got this Grapefruit Grove one up here. Can you see why you don't want it on the top? Because then if you put it on the top, it won't slide. And then we'll put this bottom one right here. And there we've got our slide and pop card, our first one. So now I'm gonna show you this other one using the Sailing Home stamp set and Smooth Sailing dies that come in a bundle. You save 10% when you purchase them together. You can go to my website, eStampin.com, to purchase and use this June hostess code and I'll send you a free gift. So this card uses these items. So I have already cut out some of the items. So normally I would stamp on that, but I don't need to. So I've got the same setup here with this slider piece. That's the same measurements as the other one. But this time, since I'm using a darker piece of cardstock, I'm going to have a white piece underneath here so that I can stamp my little message underneath there. So I'm gonna start by stamping that. So I'm first going to stamp off using crumb cake. And I just inked it, so it's super juicy, so I might do it twice. Yeah, because I just want a little bit. And then I'm going to stamp off the anchor on this part right here. Pretty good. So that's it for the crumb cake. And then we'll do here's the pieces that I already cut out. the Night of Navy. So set sail in the direction of your dreams. A little bit crooked, but still good, I think. And then this one, oh, let hope be your anchor through the storms of life. So that's why we did the anchor there. And then you would stamp and cut out those for the pop out part. And then we've got some birds in the balmy blue as well. Just make sure I'm gonna stamp the birds correctly and not upside down. So there's our birds. And then I'm gonna put these aside and stamp this with the compass. So I need to clean off the compass because we had it in crumb cake and now we're gonna do it in balmy blue. So I'm just gonna stamp all around here. And I did it differently. This time I'm just stamping around the edges. I'm not really stamping in the middle. We are going to punch out the top again with the 1-inch circle. And we are ready to attach the slider part now. So same thing, you're going to put some red liner, strong adhesive across the bottom. And then you can remove that. And then you're going to place your slider piece. Make sure it's gonna be evenly placed right there. So there we go, pretty good. Now we got the foam adhesive strips again. So we can place this one. I think I'm gonna use this one for the bottom. And we'll get a new strip for the sides. Just barely enough room. That should be good. Now we need to tack this down to our card so we can see it when we slide. So this will get placed right in the middle. Whoops. But not upside down, right? Now we'll remove the backing off of the foam adhesive strips. And we'll try to place this down evenly. Here we go. Okay, and then we need to, I forgot to do the handheld punch, but we can still do that right here. And then we'll use some of this braided linen trim. I love this braided linen trim, it's so nice. I thought it was perfect for this card. And we'll get it through here. We'll do the same kind of knot that we did on the other one, just a little bit easier to pull. And we'll trim that up. And it's kind of fun if the edges fray too. So you can make the edges fray. So now the last step is to attach the lighthouse and sailboats. So I'm gonna do that with dimensionals. The dimensionals, they were hiding from me. So again, I'm gonna put it at the bottom. So at the bottom, at the bottom. So although these cards can look intimidating, they're really not. They're really fairly easy to make once you get the cutting and measurements done. Then just putting them together is really fun. So I hope you've learned a lot from this video and that you will make your own slide and pop cards. Just so fun. I love moving cards. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join me again next time.